What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to do massive DPS with Necromancy with a relatively simple rotation. There are a lot of ways to build on this to improve the rotation, but it is very straightforward. Alright guys, so before I get too deep into this video and the rotation itself, there are a couple things that I want to go over. The first is your relic powers. Now I like to use Fury of the Small and Conservation of Energy. You can also use Darok's Memento, or I guess Berserker's Fury, for this, but personally I think the Adrenaline is better than the small amount of bonus damage, especially since you're like always at full HP anyway, because this damage, or you do so much damage, you just heal a ton. So I personally think the Adrenaline is way more important. So I use these two, and then you have room for Persistent Rage or Death Ward or whatever you want in the third slot. And then the other thing I want to go over is the perks. So use standard perks on here, just standard best in slot perks you can find on the wiki. Although the fourth slot is not a flex spot anymore. The fourth spot is the fourth spot is the Invigorating 4 slot now. And Invigorating 4 is insanely good with Necromancy. It gives you 5% more adrenaline per rank for your basic, and that's actually pretty strong. It doesn't seem like that much, but it's actually very strong. So I've noticed with Necromancy, if you have Invigorating 4, you always have to use 4 basics to build back up to 100% from a Death Skulls. Whereas if you don't have this, sometimes you will have to use 5 abilities if you don't get an Impatient proc. So I think Invigorating 4 is an incredibly strong perk for Necromancy, and I would definitely get that if you don't have it. As for familiars, we can go into the bank here. The familiars are fairly basic. Obviously, you can use any of the binding contracts, and whatever one you need for the current situation. But also, the Ice Nihil has now been changed to a Necromancy familiar, so if you need accuracy, the Ice Nihil has been changed, so you can use this for more accuracy. Another month. Another disappointing oyster. Wow, look at that loot. That is amazing. Round 2. Oh, it's even worse. Huge. Alright guys, so here we are at the dummies, and one thing before we start this, before you start your rotation or before you even start a boss kill, you can actually pre-summon the familiars. So we can summon one guy, summon the second guy, and then summon the third one, and then you can also pre-command them. So we can command and command again, and you see we still have 100% adrenaline. And if you do that before every single fight, your DPS will actually be significantly higher. It's just free damage. They were saying something about changing that. However, if this still works when you're watching this video, this is definitely something worth looking into doing before you start a kill. You have to do it before every kill. You don't really need the Vengeful Ghost command, to be honest. Like, you could just use the Skeleton Warrior, but that's just something to note that's really important with this style. Wow. So the craziest thing just happened. My whole modem just died while I was recording that last clip. What are the chances? What? Alright guys, so that was strange. My modem just died. So that's unlucky, I guess. I was like recording a clip, but I guess not. So anyway, here we are at the dummies, and I'm going to put the rotation of full graphics showing everything I do on the top here, so it's very easy to follow along. The only thing to note is that the pre-summoning obviously applies here, so that's, you know, saying you pre-summoned all of your conjures. So I'm just going to summon the Skeleton Warrior here just to start this. So we pre-cast the Skeleton Warrior, and then we use Death Skulls, a basic attack, and then Touch of Death, and a basic attack, and then Soul Sap, and then we just use Living Death plus in a pot, and then we just command Skeleton Warrior, get back up to full adrenaline for this, and then we use Split Soul and the special attack. And this wasn't a perfect one, but we can use the basic, and then we use Finger of Death, and then we use the basic, and then we can use Touch of Death, and then the basic. And now we have enough adrenaline for another Skulls here. So we pop another Skulls out, which resets the basic, and we pretty much just keep going. And now when the Skulls are out, you're able to kind of spam Finger of Death. It's actually insane. So you can see that I cast 2 of those for free. I mean, it's just nuts. And then you can continue to just go here. and cast Death Skulls. And then it's actually insane. You do so much damage with this. But yeah, it's so strong. I mean, we've got a Relentless there, but holy cow. It's just insane how much damage this does. So one thing I forgot to note there is whenever your Command Skeleton Warrior is off cooldown, you should definitely cast that. The Command Skeleton Warrior is insane. It hits super hard. It hits usually at least 10,000 damage, and I think with the full tier 95 set, it might be even closer to 15,000 damage for like a basic attack, so it's really worth using that. It's actually nuts. Principle. Yeah, it's just such a strong rotation. That rotation there will generally kill Riesel the Weasel or any other similar boss like that. It's just insane how much damage you can do. And if you ever need to AoE, you can just cast Threads of Fate and just start AoEing on everything. If like that comes up, it's like chins. It's actually like ridiculous how much damage you can do. And even with the tier 90 set, you can still do a very similar rotation that is also pretty strong. It's obviously not quite as strong. The tier 95 special attack is really good, but yeah, it's still fairly strong. You can obviously do other things like target cycle, smoke cloud, vuln bomb, all that stuff. I'm not doing that right for this video, but that's just a few extra little things you can do. But again, very similar rotation here. So we just pop out the little guy, command the little feller, and then we wait a second and we use this on the boss, build back up. And it can be any combination of 4 basics, as long as 2 of them are the actual basic. So we can get back up to 100% there. A-pot. Use Soul Sap here in between to build a stack. And then this. And then we can Death Skulls. And kind of the same thing here. Just kind of go in. It's actually nuts. So now instead of using the basic attack, we can use Volley of Souls. And then like Finger of Death and stuff. So very straightforward rotation. We got kind of unlucky with Adrenaline on this one, but we can cast another Skulls here. I'm not super used to this rotation, so I am making some mistakes. But yeah, it's a pretty solid rotation. As you can see, it's very similar to the last one. Wow, 59.7. So we can Skulls again. But yeah, this will be about a minute and 30 Riesel the Weasel kill with this setup. That's pretty much the end of the rotation. You just continue on with your basic attacks and stuff. But yeah, it's a very similar rotation, very strong rotation. Obviously, the tier 95 set is way better, but it's pretty solid for the tier 90 set. You can also use the special attack in there if you want. I use the special attack in the same place I use the Omni Guard special. But yeah, very, very similar rotation. It's just, you know, you're alternating between 2 different things instead of 1 different thing, I guess. So hopefully you guys use this rotation to get some kills on some bosses, some really fast times. You know, obviously there are different ways to customize rotations like this. If you're doing different bosses where you need more DPS up front, you can like split soul up front and like immediately cast Living Death and then start with the damage boost. Like there are a lot of different ways to customize this rotation, but this is a very basic one that you can use on pretty much any boss and probably execute it pretty well and get really, really solid DPS. So one other thing to note for all of the Revolution gamers out there, you can see the basic attack rotation that I have for Revolution on the screen here. Basically what I would do is have your Revolution set to 4 and then put these basics in something like this order. You could maybe customize it depending on what you notice. But a basic rotation of that and then manually casting your like Finger of Death and Death Skulls and Living Death and all that is a really easy way to get an even easier rotation out. It won't quite be as good, especially when we get into the more technical rotation involving the Omni Guard special attack with the basic. You know, obviously you're going to be missing out on quite a bit of DPS from that, and it's not going to optimally use it. Again, maybe there's a better order for these 4 basics that you would notice. But yeah, something like this would be a great bar to have if you're just trying to use like Revolution and then manually cast your Threshold and Ultimates. So that's another thing to note. I think that's really good for a lot of players. I know a lot of people use Revolution. It's really unfortunate that the Razel fight, the end of it, Revolution doesn't work very well when you're running around. But yeah, I know a lot of people use Revo, so hopefully that helps some people who are Revo players. All right, guys, look at these birds flying in a line. Wait, what? Okay, well, anyway, that just distracted me so much. That's so strange looking. Dude, what in the world is that? So thanks for watching, guys. That's going to be the end of the video. If this video helped you and you liked the video, be sure to drop a like on the video. It really does help promote the video and promote the channel. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this rotation. Use it for yourself, and yeah, hopefully you guys get some good kill times on some bosses. I know it may seem a little bit complicated, especially if you're like a full manual player and you're not used to it or something, seeing rotations like that, but it's very simple if you just look at it from a basic attack and then like threshold / ultimate attack kind of perspective, instead of like you have to do it in this very specific order. Like any of the basic attacks could literally be the basic attack. They don't have to be anything like special, but the rotation does get very technical. If you want to get the most DPS out of it, you have to kind of be able to tell what's happening with your necrosis stacks and all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of room to perform better and get better results with this rotation. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.